If you find yourself with a camera in your hand and want to learn how to use it, please subscribe to this channel, like the videos, comment below. Hey Photos family, today we are talking about the very beginning of our journey, meaning we see the call to adventure and there's been supernatural aid, but this time we're crossing the threshold. We are, to put it in the thought process or the terminology of Frodo's leaving the Shire. Willie has been like Free Willy, about the story about the orca or the killer whale, has been swimming with his pod and separated. I mean, take any of the stories that we have out there, the movies that we love. It's a hero's journey, really and truly. That's what it is. So crossing the threshold, there's two aspects, two details, two pieces of the story that come together at the crossing of the threshold. On one side, you have the Guardians added to the story. That's where in the last couple weeks we were talking about the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. The Guardians for Frodo, he left the Shire. It was just the four hobbits, right? Merry, Pippin, I just lost his name. Samwise Gamgee and Frodo, right? Really, it was just supposed to be Sam and Frodo. But these two little curious hobbits that considered themselves friends of Frodo, but he kind of considered more as annoying playmates, maybe. They ran after and they bumped into Sam and Frodo at the edge of the Shire, stealing from some farmer's field or something. So then their curiosity gets them, right? So they want to know what Sam and Frodo are doing and why they're leaving the Shire when the beans are spilled that they're leaving. So they add into the journey. They come along. You see how things start snowballing. Well, finally, Frodo and Sam get to the Elvish stronghold out there, or the Elvish village, where they meet several other characters, and one of whom becomes a guardian. Actually, as before that, they meet up with one of the people that become a guardian, and they don't know anything different. But the character has his own mystique about him. He becomes kind of one of the supporting long-term characters of the story. Aragorn, but he's posing, instead of the rightful king to the throne of the kingdom of men, he's posing as a ranger, somebody in the forest who's watching carefully and paying attention to what's going on and keeping the people informed as to what good or bad is around the corner, kind of thing. But not only is it about guardians added into the journey and something that we can find value for our photography in learning this cycle and how we can push that cycle forward for ourselves. How can we take this cycle and use it to, what's the word I'm looking for? How can we use the hero's journey to be our cycle to push us through the threshold of beginning to learn a new technique, to go through the struggles, the challenges, the temptations, go through the abyss that really changes us and push us into the transformation, the at-one-ment, and then the return back to our kind of feels like normal. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean that question oddly. I want it to make sense, and that's why, I guess, in my insecurity, I'm asking, does that make sense? I want to be able to affect change, and so when I push myself to learn and to grow, I don't give myself a long time to be comfortable. Otherwise, I'm starting to camp out somewhere and I'm not continuing the journey. A journey really is continuing to push forward and enjoying some of the pauses along the way, but not making the pauses longer. That threshold discussion of guardians being added, take joy in the guardians being added, but to our photography, who are those guardians? If they're not somebody that is in our lives, helping us and giving us suggestions and keeping us on our journey of good photography, then perhaps the guardian in our photograph is something that is helping to frame the context of our subject. To frame the context is to give added meaning or value so that the subject of our photograph actually makes sense. It could be a prop. The guardian could be added lighting so that the area around our subject does not appear too dark so that it doesn't give any kind of visual aid. Or maybe it is a lack of light so that it gives frame and focus to our subject. I don't mean focus as through a lens. I'm talking about drawing somebody's eye to the subject. Guardians can take several different forms, and like other things we'll be coming up to, guardians may not even really appear in our photographs at all. It may be somebody that we have studied who's an artist or a photographer, that their style impacted us, and now they've added something of their style to us because we're so intrigued. It naturally becomes a part of how we shoot and the effect or the look that we shoot for every time in our photograph. There's a lot of individuals that have given me that pause, and as I form each photograph that I shoot, that thought comes into my mind. If it fits their style, then I'm looking to add that look, that feel, that technique into that shot. So, topic of guardians. Guardians, really and truly, it comes down to the type of photograph. The guardians are there, simple, okay? To guard the hero on their journey. Who's the hero of each photograph? You can ask yourself that question. Am I the hero for taking it? Or is the hero the subject of my photograph? Ask yourself the question. Frame your photograph around that question. Give yourself a focus, the framework to hang the details and the explanation and the lighting and everything else on. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to having you back. Give us some comments down below and let us know what you think about it, and give us your thoughts on Guardians. I mean, maybe I'm way off. Maybe I've hit on a chord that makes some sense to you and you haven't thought about something in one way or another. Let us know and give us your feedback in the comments down below. Give us a thumbs up so that other people can like this and build into their photography the Guardians that they need. If you're not yet a subscriber, we'd love to add you to our Photos family. Thank you so much. God bless.